Hello, Lawrence. Are you well?
I'm well, Craig. You?
Yeah, really good, thank you. How lovely to be able to get you on one of our Hoppers Hangouts.
Yes.
How's life treating you in the lockdown, Lawrence?
It's going well. It's going well. Keeping as busy as I can.
As you do. Are you're still working, I guess?
Oh yeah, still in work. Yeah.
From home, or are you managing to
mixture of home and in the office?
Yeah, I'm managing a little bit of that as well. So good for you. Now, Lawrence, I'm just conscious that we've started 30 odd seconds ago, and I've not told anybody who you are.
Yeah.
So we are talking this evening to Lawrence Howard, who is the chairman of the Lancashire Typhoons.
No, just Typhoons. We're not allowed the word Lancashire in the name.
Oh, really not? Why?
When we were first set up, it's all to do with county names in rugby clubs and that kind of thing.
Oh, crikey. So you're the Typhoons.
So we're just the Typhoon. We bought all our publicity with Lancashire Typhoons and had to change it all.
Oh, crikey. Well, listen, I'm on board now, so we know it's the Typhoons. Drop Lancashire, we are just the Typhoons.
Yeah.
So in the latest newsletter, the latest Hoppers newsletter, Lawrence, you covered off a potted history of the club. Could you just recount that tale for me, please?
Yeah. So back in '95, 5 guys, most of whom are still on the scene, met in the bar at King's Cross train station down in London, and all got talking about how they didn't quite feel able to join in at their own local rugby clubs. Jeff, interestingly, who was one of them, refereed a game I played in a couple of months ago. But anyway, I digress. They met, and off the back of that conversation, the King's Cross Steelers were founded, called the King's Cross Steelers because they met in the bar at King's Cross train station.
Yeah.
And they, at the time, were the first what everybody called a gay rugby club. Not a word that gets used anymore, but that was what they were back in '95. A couple of years later, the Spartans kicked off in Manchester, San Francisco Fog, LA Rebellion, Washington. There's 2 teams in Washington, one of them, I can't remember which one. August '99, there was the first ever game between 2 of the clubs when the Spartans played the Steelers. I was actually supposed to be playing in that game. It was in August. The day before, on the Friday, on my way into work, I used to work in Manchester city centre. I fell down the stairs at Oxford Road train station. You know that huge 60-step flight of stairs that they have at the side of Oxford Road that comes out behind the pub? I fell down them.
That could only happen to you, Lawrence.
It did. Well, this is my theme, is actually having an injury the day before a club has its first game. I've done it 3 times now.
Wow.
Anyway, so yeah, I fell down. So I didn't play in that, and I was stood there watching it on crutches.
Nightmare.
Yeah.
So that effectively then, Lawrence, was how the concept of inclusive rugby started. Where did the idea come from for the Typhoons then, our very own Typhoons?
So the Typhoons originally came around. So at the time I went to Nashville Bingham Cup. So the Mark Bingham Memorial Cup, Mark Bingham was one of the men who died trying to retake Flight 93 in September the 11th.
Right.
So the Mark Bingham Memorial Cup is like the big world inclusive rugby festival that happens every other year. Cancelled this year, obviously, but happens every other year. So I was at the Nashville Bingham, and I was between clubs at the time when I was there. So I ended up just going as a pool player. You know, you go as a pool player, and another club that's short picks you up. So I went as a pool player, and I get talking in the bar with some of the committee who run IGR on the world scale. And they're saying how they're opening bidding for 2020 Bingham in the next couple of months, because it runs like 4 years ahead. So I get talking and I say, hey, you ever know, we could have it at Blackpool one year. And Neil goes, well, you'd have to found a club to do that. And I said, yeah, we could do. What we need a name. How about the Preston Pugs? Which it has become a bit of a running joke that I just said that. Anyway, and I kind of forgot about the idea. Came back and I helped a friend found the Liverpool Tritons. And off the back of that, I thought, you know what, we could actually do this up in Preston, something based around central Lancashire. I mean, it was a bit of a challenge because the received wisdom always was you needed to be based out of a big city. Big city, loads of gay bars. You know, Preston had one at the time, which barely qualified as a pub. It was an interesting venue.
That might be for another podcast, Lauren.
That's another podcast, yes. So anyway, come start meeting some people, vaguely throwing around ideas. And I don't know if you remember, it was at the time when they were trying to get cross-pitch sevens to kick a cross-pitch sevens squad to kick up at Hoppers.
Right.
And it was, turn up and play. So I think, you know what, I'm going to turn up and play. I was struggling to get down to Liverpool to train at the time. It's a long way to go to train. Struggling to get down there. So they all turn up and play at this cross-pitch sevens. And there was me, 2 guys from the RFU, and 2 other people there. That was it.
And that was the birth of the
Typhoons. So we then got sat in the bar and got talking. And off the back of that, Typhoons were born. We were really struggling to come up with a name. We came up with all sorts. There's a post on Facebook that we actually put on for looking for ideas for names. And there was Lancashire Lightning, the Lancashire Warlocks, the Preston Guildsmen, the Lancashire Brigands.
You'd got rid of Preston Pugs, hadn't you, at this point?
We ditched Preston Pugs instantly.
I quite like it.
And as we're doing it, one of the test flights goes overhead from BAE.
Right.
And somebody goes, we could call ourselves Typhoons. And I went, yeah, that works.
And how has it worked? I mean, it's fabulous, isn't it?
Exactly.
From those small beginnings, that first evening, just give us a flavour now, Lawrence, of how many members and players you have now on the books with the Typhoons.
So we have somewhere in the low 70s on the books at the moment.
Incredible.
So that's split across our men's union team and our mixed O2 touch team.
It's a fabulous success, isn't it?
It is. We are doing so well. And I mean, I think the O2 touch is one thing that brings us in so many players as well. Because you get people who've never touched a rugby ball in their life, who playing rugby would absolutely terrify.
Yeah.
But you can come play some touch, Nobody gets hurt playing that.
You train on the same nights as the first 15 when, and the first 15 squad when I'm there, and to see how it's grown over the last 2 years has been nothing short of remarkable.
Yeah.
And not only that, the skill level of the players is improving so quickly as well.
Oh yeah.
You must be incredibly proud as chairman, Lawrence.
I really am. It's so amazing. And what literally started as a conversation in a bar at a tournament.
Yeah, the Bingham Cup.
The Nashville Bingham Cup, and here we are now.
Look, it's terrific, and the addition that Typhoons have brought, I think, to Preston Grasshoppers, is something that is rightly celebrated throughout the club. And I know that you're very proud of the association with Hoppers.
Yeah.
How do you think we have been as a wider club in our acceptance of inclusive rugby and the Typhoons as a team?
I think it has been so good, and I think we have got between us the balance absolutely right. The balance between kind of everybody respecting our independence, but also treating us as part of the family when it suits and when it works. We've had the odd dubious comment from the odd person, but nothing we're not capable of dealing with ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. It's, something though. It's Pride Awareness Month, isn't it, at the moment? And one of the things I wanted to look at was, we have a flagship side in the Preston Grasshoppers. It's the men's first 15, and I remember last year we talked. I spoke to yourself and one or two of the 2 Chris's, Big Chris and Little Chris, and we looked how we can bring on board the Rainbow Laces initiative for our men's first 15. and how we can show solidarity and support. I believe that as a rugby club, we are huge allies of Typhoons and IGR Rugby. And without question, I would say 75–80% of the first 15 opted to wear rainbow laces last season. And we'll do something similar this year. How do you feel when you see that, when you recognise that you are having a positive impact right through the club? How do you see and feel about that?
It's absolutely amazing. It's what we wanted to accomplish. I mean, I will be honest. When I was absolutely throwing around ideas, you know, the thought of doing it based at Hoppers terrified me. Because in my head, it was this huge juggernaut that would just roll over us, and you know, it's. I mean, the first, the seconds, going all the way down have been so accepting, and you know, the fact, like, you know, rainbow laces. You know, the guys who sometimes come and help us at training. You know, when we want to do scrumming at training, you know, will come and give us someone to scrum against.
Absolutely.
You know,
and that won't change, Lawrence. No. We don't, you know, you speak to Gareth as our head of rugby operations, you speak to the first 15 coach, Paul Arnold. We don't see that changing, Lawrence. You know, for us, it's that brotherhood of rugby, that camaraderie, and anything we can do to help improve your skill set or improve your enjoyment of this wonderful game, then we'll do that. And I'm just going to lead on, we are running short of time, I'm just going to lead on to one final question from me. What are your hopes and aspirations, Lawrence, for the future of the Typhoons?
So I would love us to keep growing and keep getting you know, more and more people into rugby. I also want to see people developing skills to the point that they get the confidence to start playing in local rugby. Because I always think every time one of my guys pulls on a shirt for a local team, be that Hoppers or another team in the area, that to me is a success, because it's someone has got the confidence to go on and play local club rugby. which I think is absolutely amazing. I would love us to start a second team, but I think one thing I've always said on that, I'd only want to do it when we're able to give both our ones and twos the same amount of rugby.
I understand that. And I think sentiments, Lawrence, around gaining confidence to pull on another shirt for a different club. And I know you're heavily populated at times, our fourth and fifth 15, with players on a weekly basis. That to me is a bit deeper than IGR rugby. This is really helping people find acceptance of themselves and in society, and that actually, Lawrence, is the big thing. And I think that for me is the most wonderful thing about the Typhoons.
Because I think it's really important. Because one thing I've always said is I don't want people to see us as a bubble, as a little bubble that exists. You know, in fact, most of our games will be against other IGR clubs. You know, that's they're the clubs who ring me up and say, "Can I have a game?" That's the long and short of it generally.
But that actually grows the game. You're not viewed as a bubble in the Typhoons. You are a much respected part of our club, and it's been brilliant, Lawrence, to catch up with this evening. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I look forward to seeing you down at Lightfoot Green in the coming weeks and months.
Oh, I'm so, our last game was at Hadrian's Cup, 7th of March.
Wow. You'll be back.
So ready.
You'll be back before you know it, Lawrence.
I know.
And on that note, we will say goodbye and bid you a very fond farewell. Take care.
Thank you very much. Thank you.